my goal is to get to 45, do the best I can possibly do, and then I'm out. I'm out the game, and that's...
I'm scared of that part.
But what are you scared? But you know what it is? I'm not bothered about being in the limelight or whatever. And people, like my persona, Big Meeks, I love it. This is my energy. But I'm not bothered about doing this or like, they always ask me, will I go to awards? And I'm like, no, it's not my thing. I've been invited to probably 50 awards since I've been doing punditry. Nothing, it's not my vibe. I feel uncomfortable in them environments.
So the whole thing about coming to the Emmys, that was...
Yeah, that was just for the show. People see me, Big Meeks, large. I am larger than life, but there's also a different side to me that people don't see.
I've been there.
You're watching Kickin It, presented by Modelo.
When was the last time you were offended? Because I've tried many times to offend you.
I don't get offended. I don't get offended. Honestly, I don't. What's the point? Like, I'm a decent looking lad. No, but I'm a decent looking lad. Do you know what I mean? Let's keep it real. You know, Big Meeks, we're not struggling, are we? Let's say that. Money don't mean anything to me.
None of that gives you doesn't give people security.
Okay.
I think you can have all of those things in life and not be secure. By the way.
No, I mean.
Not you
really?
personally. Anybody. Yes.
I'm never insecure.
All right, so most footballers would be physically fit and wealthy, right?
Yeah.
You ever met an insecure one?
Yes, I have actually. I've met, but that's down to personality, maybe.
Okay, but so I have a thing because the intros, they're not talking about usually. Sometimes we mention your body size.
My weight.
Right.
Do you think I'm overweight? Can we say that? Can we get this out there? Do you think I'm overweight?
No, people only joke about things that I feel like I would, if I really thought you had a weight issue, I would not be joking about it publicly.
I'm about a stone overweight, but anyway.
Do you think so? I would never have said that.
No. Okay, so what's happening? Big Meeks, here, perfect, but you know what? Because I can't run anymore. Down the belly area, I'm seeing like fat appearing where it's not supposed to. So yeah, you know
I
what
always
it is?
appreciate you being in the studio because I feel like we always know whatever happens, wherever it goes left, you'll help us bring it back.
I have a job though, don't I? So we work with Serie, Thierry's unbelievable, isn't he? At what he does. Jamie and yourself. But because I've not got the same accolades as those boys, I have to bring a different energy. So I think actually my greatest asset is sort of feeling what the room is like, and when it sort of goes down, bring it back up, you know? I feel like we have a responsibility to do that, and I've got to bring that charm and that energy and the good vibes. I'm just like, with me, I'm so grateful for the opportunity. You know when people say, they're coming to work and they really love it? I love my job. I love my job. Do
you love all your jobs? Because you've got a lot of jobs.
Do I love all my jobs? That's a good question, that. When I'm there, yes. But I don't like the long days. I feel like I don't get no time with my family, with my son. When we do Champions League, about 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and sometimes I don't even get to, take my son to school, And I feel guilty about that every single time I do work, whether it be Champions League, whether it be doing it for BBC, whether it be Sky. I've got my own podcast now. And sometimes I always say to myself, like, when is enough enough? You know
Are we talking about financially, when is enough enough?
Exactly. Well, you know me, I always talk about, and I always laugh and joke about money and this, that, and it, because I don't really value money. I value people, I value what life's supposed to be about rather than just the finer things. So when I'm talking about going to Vegas and spending 150 grand a night, that's a way of me saying it's wrong, but at the time, it felt right in that moment, And I don't regret anything that I've done in terms of the money, the cars, the jewelry, or whatever it is. It's just, I live in the moment. You got to enjoy life.
Why take on all the jobs then if you have that kind of sense of, am I obsessed with?
Football.
Do you think so? But you're the same person who also says, I'll retire from punditry.
10 years. 10 years.
How can you feel like that if you're obsessed with the game? Like, you'd speak to Jamie. Jamie will say, I'll never be out the game. I'll always be in TV or something.
There's different ways you can be obsessed with it. So I watch all the games. And I thought I was really obsessed with football, but then there's Jamie, and then there's Thierry level, and that's like, it's a different level. And I feel like I owe now to work as hard as possible for 10 years and then give something back to the family. I do a lot of stuff with charities. I feel like there's so much more to life than just like work, you know?
You're talking about giving back to the family. I would assume that you've probably been giving back to your family for a long time.
Yeah, I have.
So why don't you feel like that's enough?
So when you say giving it back, I've given back financially, but I've not given back time, you know? Since I made my debut when I was, 17, I've been on the road, made my England debut at 18. The way my career ended, I went straight into punditry. Like, the amount of birthdays I've missed, the amount of Christmases I've missed, the amount of just, like, good conversations I've missed with people. Like, CBS gives me life, you know? It gives me that, like, purpose in life to do what I need to do. And I love it, I enjoy it. But I also miss out on the simple things in life. And, like, I feel like over the last 5 years, I've been disconnected. And people see me big character, Big Meeks, large. I am larger than life, but there's also a different side to me that people don't see. And I'll give you an example with my dad. My dad was like, without being cringe, like my best friend. He'd been to every game. He'd been to every training session. He only missed a couple of games, but the only time he missed games when he was in Ethiopia. He's Rastafarian, my dad. Right. So that's like their haven, you know? Doing charity work out there. And then when my career started I wouldn't say slowly, when my career started declining, it's sort of, I don't know, the relationship between me and him was just getting, I don't even know the right words to articulate, because you always speak to your parents, don't you?
Yeah.
But in terms of being with them all the time, and then we just became very disconnected. I had a son.
And you don't know why?
I think it was because when I had my son, I got an 8-year-old son, and when you're a parent, all your love, affection, time goes into that. And you know me, I want to be the best I can be, whether it's punditry, whether it be football, or whether it be parent. And ever since I had my son, all my energy goes into him. And my dad, I feel sorry for him because he gave me so much, but I feel like it's flipped now and I've sort of left him in the background. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because over the last 2-3 years, and you'll know because we speak, you know, frequently, he's not been doing well. And I'm not saying all Caribbean families, but in my culture, where I'm from, the love that you get is in a different way. It's not really, oh, I love you, son. It's just them being there.
Right.
You know?
It's not necessarily verbalised.
Correct.
Yeah.
Go to the hospital, and it's the first time I see my dad cry in, he's 60-odd. He was crying. He was saying, I'm sorry, I apologise, I'll sort myself out, no problem.
Did you feel like he'd let you down? I
just feel he felt embarrassed. I had a conversation with him and I said to him, like, I'm sorry for not being there. I'm sorry that, not in terms of financial, but just that support, you know, talking. And that's why when I'm doing my job, I'm so upbeat, I'm so lively, because I feel like my job is to make people feel better. Talk about work. The reason why I say I'm retiring in 10 years, I will tell you now, I'm retiring in 10 years because the guilt that I have with myself not being there for the people who give me the opportunity to do what I need to do. I'm picking work over family, you know? And especially as men, it might be different as a woman, and I don't want to talk for you, but with me, everyone thinks everything's always rosy. But it's rosy when I'm at work because CBS gives me that purpose, you know? It gives me that energy to think, actually.
It's also a responsibility you feel at work is to come in and put a face on because you're in front of camera, right? So...
Yeah, but I also, like, this is me anyway, you know? There's two sides to me. I'm always happy, I'm always positive, and I always try to do the best. That's just me anyway. I try to lift people up, and that's why I believe if I was with my dad more, this wouldn't have happened. And people will say, well, you can't blame yourself, but I do. And I don't want this to be a sad. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I'm just sharing an experience that people probably wouldn't know about me, you know?
But lots of people can relate to.
Of course. The area where I'm from, I don't even like to talk down about the area because Chapeltown is known for guns, you know, drugs, violence, etc., etc. But it's also like there's a really good part of it where a lot of people are doing really good things for the community. I remember coming out one day and my brother had stole my dad's van and he was getting chased by the police and he comes into the house, but the police didn't see which house he got into for some reason. He went to like a dead end and then ran around the back. And we see the police going up and down. It was called, I lived on Lewis Street at the time, up and down, up and down. And then like, he's hiding, looking out the window, while me and my brother's 2 years younger than me, and we were just like, what is this life? I can't live like this. That was a turning point for me, saying like, no matter what I do, whether I'm a builder,
so did you start mentally searching for something at that point that
mentally,
this is my out?
I was like, I'm gonna make it as a footballer, 100%. I knew I'd make it as a footballer, without doubt, because I had like the raw talent already. I was fast, I was strong, I was good on the ball back then. As long as I could learn like the tactical side of the game, I knew I was gonna be a footballer. The same with broadcasting now. When I'm sat on across the way from Thierry Henry, one of the biggest legends, my hero growing up. You got Jamie Carragher, who's won the Champions League. You got yourself, 15, 20 years experience in broadcasting.
Emmy nominee.
You know what I mean? little old Meeks. Really?
Come on.
No. Okay, I won the Premier League, won the FA Cup. I'm not doing myself down in any way. But I'm saying, really, I shouldn't be here broadcasting because I knew, okay, my career doesn't stack up to others, but have people got my personality?
Right.
Have they got the warmth? Can they get the likability? When I'm watching punditry, everyone's really negative, and I'm thinking, it's okay for Roy Keane to be negative, but I can't go on and, you know, like, people are not going to take me seriously, so there's certain ways that you have to broadcast where you can still do a good job. Look at my analysis now compared to when we first started.
You see the growth.
Like, when I first started doing broadcasting, I used to get stick. I was trending for 2 years. Oh, he's only doing this because he's fitting a quota, you know?
Person of colour.
You know what it is. All he does is laugh on TV. I'm like, the research that I do, and I don't, it's weird because I just don't do research on the games. I do research on like where Thierry's been, where's Kate's flying back, what's Jamie said at the weekend. So when we get our little viral moments, a lot of them come from the producers. Give Pete Radjovic his flowers and Micah and Dickie as well. But the little one-liners, I'm preparing all them things to make it a better show. That's the level.
Do you feel like you're underappreciated?
Not on the show.
Not by the show, by the public.
I feel as though the stuff on CBS, it's tough, isn't it? Because our great moments are fun moments. The greatest moments are fun. But I feel as though we're not taken seriously by certain aspects of the media. I mean, our audience is great anyway, but, you know, when we do like really good analysis, it doesn't really go where it needs to go. It's not really spoken about. I feel if you go down the street and ask, who's Micah Richards, they'd say, oh yeah, it's the guy on TV who's always laughing. And I don't just want to be it's not I don't want to be the joke. I will embrace my personality. If we need to have a laugh, we can have a laugh anytime
you want people to know that there's layers.
But, exactly.
Right.
Jamie is the best analytically in the country, in England. Then you bring Thierry into the mix. Thierry's a different level. So imagine how much I'm learning from these guys. I'm learning from the best, you know?
Don't you think it's just kind of how it goes, though? I feel like that we all, not maybe we don't all, but just society in general will always pigeonhole you as kind of one thing. You're never seen as multiple things.
Yeah.
So Roy will always be the miserable one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed.
Thierry will be the the one who's doing his analysis and all of that. Jamie will be having a jibe at somebody. Like, nobody's kind of seen as the conglomerate of different things that they are. I'll be the person who does the intros, the girl with the intros. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think people give you your flowers for what you do.
I just think in general we're all perceived kind of like the overarching theme is one thing. That you get kind of like put in that box.
I think that's fair. But I want to be more rounded. I want my analysis or my opinions or knowledge or whatever, same level as where people see me personality-wise, you know? And that is, if I've not conquered that within 10 years, then I'll be very disappointed.
One thing I wanted to go back to on this, you've said so much. One of the things I wanted to talk about was what you were saying about your dad, because your dad and work and feeling like, you know, guilt about not being present, because it is something I can relate to. There was a specific incident, this was last season at some point, because, you know, my dad passed away in December of 2024. And just before that, he'd been kind of, they'd been checking his health and wondering did he need surgery, kept telling him he was okay, and then they decided that he did need heart surgery. And that all happened in a very quick escalation, and they said, he's gonna have surgery tomorrow, or whatever. And because his health had been so good, he was, not great, but like he was playing golf, he was still playing tennis, he was still going for walks, he was active. He'd had heart surgery before. And I just thought, oh, I'll go like I did last time, I'll go for when he wakes up, and I'll be there when he wakes up out of the surgery. And so we had something, we were shooting for CBS that day. I said, I'm gonna stay for this, jump in a car straight from leaving the studios here and go, and by the time I get to Manchester, the next morning I'll be able to go in and see him. And he never woke up from the surgery. He ended up not making it through, and I think I've just always lived with that guilt of if I'd just chosen differently in that moment, I regret that choice so much. But then, if you try and park the guilt, I think the one thing I do think about the career that I had was that I got to take him on journeys that he never got to go on by himself. I got to take him to a World Cup. I got to take him to a Ballon d'Or ceremony. Like, I got to expose him for a man who loved football as well, and who gave me my love for the game. I think to be able to open certain doors for them that they didn't manage to open in their life, or just were on a different path to you. And so I'm sure there must be moments for you as well where you feel like, I've got to expose my dad to things, or he got to just live this incredible sense of pride because of what you did achieve and what, you know, the places that your work ethic has taken you. And I would hope that, like, there's some comfort in that, because the guilt can just consume you. I can only imagine for your dad being able to watch his son run out in an England kit at what, age 18?
18, yeah. That
must have blown his mind.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd like to say, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about your dad anyway, so I know we've spoke about that off camera before, so how you've dealt with it has been nothing short of sensational, seriously, and I feel like because of the job that we do, we sort of just park things, you know? So I always wanted to make sure you're all right, so for you to be able to do that and act the way you have with your professionalism, I just think it's been incredible. So I wanted to say that for you.
Thank you.
To start. As for the other stuff with my dad, yeah, I do hear you, but I think it's hard now because it's still raw, you know? I think the fact that he'll be proud of me and I did what I was supposed to do in terms of making him proud. My career, I should have done a lot more of it. If I would have had my same mentality now, because when I sort of, you know, when I said I was going to make it, when he played in the Premier League at that age, and England at that age, you think you made it, and then your standards drop a little bit, you know? And with life, whether it be cars, clothes, watches, whatever, everyone's got their vices, haven't they? So of course he will be proud, but because it's ongoing now, I can't really see past that, you know?
What about in fatherhood? Like, are you Because you talked about how you grew up. Family culture was we don't talk about kind of our feelings necessarily. Are you a different dad? Or
I'm lovable. I was a thing called Ballers League, which is coming to the USA actually.
Yes.
I took my son to the game, and my private life is private. No one knows nothing about.
I never see him on Instagram.
Never.
You don't post him.
Never post him, just because I don't want to put that pressure on him as well. He plays football, loves football, but I don't want him out there. And I had to battle myself to take him to Ballers League. He wanted to go because he loves KSI and etc. Speed. He was asking me, Speed, I'm saying, he's in America, you know? But I've always been conscious of that side. I don't want my family to be exposed to what I was exposed to so early, different pressures.
Judgment.
I just feel like today's society is very judgmental, isn't it? Social media, he's allowed to go on, he loves Roblox and Minecraft, but that's all he's allowed to go on. He doesn't go on, he's not allowed to be in any group chats or what with his friends. I want to protect him from all of that. Because it's not real life, is it? It's like another world that makes people feel insecure.
Ways about themselves.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I don't need, where I'm thick-skinned. Because of the way my
Did you develop that though, or was that
at
natural?
Villa.
Okay.
So that was at Villa. I don't want to bore you with the story, but
So that was where you feel like life started to...
Yes. So when you're up, everyone's texting you this, that, and the other. When you're down at Villa, and you're not in the squad and you're training by yourself and all these, that's where you build that resilience, don't you? It's at that moment there, it's like, okay. So there's so many people now who text me, oh, I've not seen you in such a long time. Honestly, block. I don't need you in my life anymore, you know? I just have I only want people in my life who are gonna add something. All that negative stuff, just leave it at the door. I ain't got time for it. Do you know what I mean?
Did you... I guess I'm wondering, when you were at Aston Villa and you feel that happening, you're aware it's happening, right? And you're seeing that, okay, I came here to kind of re-establish myself, it's not going to plan. You end up figuring out you're going to have to retire. Injuries cut you short. Did you find it hard to kind of make peace with that? Is that, because I think that's one of the things that we often don't talk about, is just like the afterlife for athletes is so difficult, right? To figure out who, because it's such a big part of your identity. And like you say, like, women love me, look at me, I'm wealthy, I'm this, I'm a City player, I'm blah, blah, blah. And when you suddenly aren't any of those things, all right, you might still have wealth, but you're not on the same stage that you once were until you find your way in TV. Did that kind of shake your foundation of who you were? Yeah,
I think that's the only time it's been mentally challenging for me. So I've got an auntie as well who struggled with mental health as well. And like, you know, when you see there's different sort of layers to mental health, isn't there? There's all sorts of different ways. And I always thought, well, I've got money, I've got a house, I've this, that, and the other, family's all right. I can't have mental health, but it can happen to anyone.
Yes.
It literally can happen to anyone. And it was just, there was a little kid when I was at Aston Villa, which sounds a bit wrong, but he DM'd me and I text back a young kid. But I saw the top of the message basically saying, can't remember the exact word, I'll see if I can get the message for you, but he said something like, you've been absolutely unbelievable in your career. Don't care about what people say. You're an inspiration to me, and if it wasn't for injuries, you would have been unbelievable. And it was that message that took me from like being so low to like, it's like, you know, you look at yourself and then you go, like, you look at your Premier League, you look at FA Cup, you think, shoulders out. And I was like, he's right, you know? And I feel like now we're so critical, like someone can win a Premier League or a FA Cup or play in the Premier League and it's not good enough. I lived my dream, but then because of society, we sort of go into a phase where you think it's not good enough, but it is good enough. But you have to tell yourself it's good enough, you know?
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely, I started saying, you know what? No matter what, I'm not gonna let this get me down. And if it wasn't for that message, I probably won't even be doing broadcasting now, because when BBC asked me to do it first, I said no, so I don't want to do it. Just because the way my time was at Villa.
Did you feel embarrassed?
Oh, that was so embarrassed. Honestly, I was so embarrassed. I didn't go out. It's weird. So I had I like cars. I had a Rolls Royce, and where we used to train in Bodymore Heath, it was called, Aston Villa's training ground. The Belfry's like a mile away. So I'd ordered a car, like, you know, long cars take, like 3 years ago. It came. I didn't want to have it because I felt like I didn't deserve it. But I bought it anyway. I was like, you know what? This is Big Meeks, man. I'm balling out. So I was living in Manchester, drove down, but I was so embarrassed. I parked the car at the Belfry Hotel and got a I got a taxi into training. I swear, that's how embarrassed I was.
Damn.
Because I was like, this is me. Like, I'm the man. And then when you go from being like the man, imagine, hear me out. 17, Man City. Header, burst on the scene. That's where the burst on the scene come from. That's where the phrase came from.
Yeah.
England at 18. Then I score for England at 19. The world, like, women throwing themselves at me. I don't mind, we talk freely. All sorts, Vegas, Ibiza, LA, all these places. I was living life, but I don't mind living life and spending money. But what I did, I let the life get the better of what the mission was. And that was the mistake I made. Not spending all the money, that's all fine. If you can afford it.
If you can stay in the right lifestyle.
If you can stay in that lifestyle, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But you've got to make sure the other side, and that's what I slipped on. Plus then add injuries into that as well. Recipe for disaster, man.
The bursting onto the scene part, obviously, like you said, England at 18, City at 17, being like just kind of the young star in English football in that way. When did you first get like a paycheck that blew your mind, that made you think,
so
my life is about to change for real?
So apprentice, you go from like 80 quid a week. So at 16, yeah, you're getting 80 quid a week, I think it was. And then you can sign your first professional contract at 17, I think the age was, which was £500 a week. So I went from £500 a week to, because I played for England and what, I went to £5 a week within like 6 months. Then 6 months later, I went from £5 a week to 50 grand a week. Like at 19, 18, 19.
This might be a really naive question, right? But all footballers have agents, managers, like all of that, right? Do you not have anybody in your life? Is it not normal to have somebody in your life who's giving you guidance in terms of, listen, this is what we need to do with your money. This is how we make this last, or like the right way to live. Spend this %, bank the rest.
Yes, and it's a very good question because when you mentioned that, so when that deal got done, the 50 grand a week, it was actually my dad who did that deal.
Do you still have your brother do some of your agent stuff now?
So he's like part of my management team, yeah.
Do you only trust family with is that like a trust thing?
Yeah, because I've had various different agents, I don't trust agents at all. I don't. Even like the guy who does my stuff now, he's my man. I don't like the word agent. He's my manager.
Right.
He looks at everything. I look at everything. So he's like the commercial side. Then my younger brother does the property side. So another thing, a lot of people think, oh, Micah, he spends 200 quid on his haircut. He went to Vegas and spent 100 grand and all this sort of stuff. But on the other side, I was building a property company. So
it's not funny, so it doesn't get talked about in the same way. But I know what you mean. That there's a balance.
There's a balance for as much. My rule was, if I spend or buy a new car or spend something nice on a watch, I have to invest in a house first or multiple houses first. So every time, if I come with
How many
something
watches
new,
you got?
How many watches? See, I'm a watch collector. And
yeah, I read a high number, so I'm wondering it's making me wonder how many houses you got.
Okay.
So was the story about every time I buy a watch, I bought a house first really true? Or
Yeah.
Okay. So you have a decent amount of property.
Yes.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, this is what I mean. People think I'm like, I just laugh a lot. I'm naive, I'm this. I spent all my money, I've got no money left. Like,
assuming people don't know that you're their landlord.
But to be honest, don't say that. I'll start getting requests. But yeah, I think with me, I don't mind people thinking I'm just like a stupid ex-footballer.
Your son loves football. Do you want him to play football?
No.
Why?
I don't like the football lifestyle. I think there's too much scrutiny.
The football lifestyle's been good to you, hasn't it?
Yeah, but I had to do that. He didn't have to do it.
What do you want to protect him from?
I don't feel like it's a real world. I think there's too much pressure. I feel like social media has worked amazingly well for us, especially our show as well. But I feel like there's a dark... And I want to educate him about that. It's not like he can't go on social media and all that sort of stuff, but there's too much pressure for the footballers nowadays. When I was coming through, yeah, a lot of players got released and stuff, but social media wasn't a thing. So there was less sort of embarrassment. Now, you got players being like abused online for missing a shot, you know? It's ridiculous. And I just feel like it's a very lonely life being a footballer. I'd rather be a builder and have flexibility to see my family than be a footballer and have no time. Because what are you doing it for? Like with you, obviously what you're doing is amazing, and the level that you've got to is incredible, and you've had to work really hard for that. But what's your purpose? What's your goal? I've got a goal.
Damn.
That's what I mean. What is your? My goal is to get to 45, do the best I can possibly do, and then I'm out. I'm out the game, and that's...
I'm scared of that part.
But what are you scared? But you know what it is? I'm not bothered about being in the limelight or whatever. And people, like my persona, Big Meeks, I love it. This is my energy. But I'm not bothered about doing this or like... They always ask me, will I go to awards? And I'm like, no, it's not my thing. I've been invited to probably 50 awards since I've been doing punditry. Nothing, it's not my vibe. I feel uncomfortable in them environments.
So the whole thing about coming to the Emmys, that was...
Yeah, that was just for the show.
Oh, come on now.
No, but that's different. If you have a genuine chance of winning, I'm coming to support you. But anyway, what is your goal? Just to ask you, I mean, I know, because I feel like a lot of people don't know you. All people say, oh, Kate, she's so amazing, she's so articulate, she's the one who holds it all together, which is true. But I feel like people don't really know you, and because you do and ask all the questions...
I like that.
Yeah, but we don't
it's
really
nice to hide
know
behind that. I don't know if I have a good answer for you. I think, and I think that worries me, because I think I've probably, every stage of life, I probably never expected to get to that position. And I've always felt extremely blessed to be where I am at each point in time. So I feel like CBS, I'm living my best life, right? I'm on a show that's incredibly popular, that I love doing, and I really enjoy coming to work. And I'm always, I think as a woman, I don't know if other women on TV would relate to this, but I always have this fear factor of, when do I time out? When are you no longer young and attractive enough to still be in this role? Because this is sports TV and you think it's a predominantly male.
Young and attractive, why have you said that? It could be, no, because this is what I mean. We're in an environment now where, like, that's obviously important to you, you know?
Because I think women feel that pressure, don't they? That, well, I mean, it's a stupid example, but I come in maybe 2 hours before all of you guys to go through hair and makeup. And when I go home and, you know, the week before I'm coming to a show, I make sure I get my nails done. I might have new weave put in. I'm making sure that all of those things are on point, because you feel that that is part of the package that you offer and you're expected to offer. And I feel like you often think that if I don't offer that, am I as popular? And I'm not sure that women feel that they would be.
You are. Don't get... I don't know. I feel like you're buying into what social media is. You are where you are.
I think it's just an awareness of it, though.
You are where you are because you're... Can we swear on this?
Yeah.
fucking amazing at your job. Simple as that. Don't ever think you're here because you're a pretty woman.
I don't. I'm not reducing myself. I'm just saying that there's like an element of fear for me. Instead of being able to plan for the next 20 years and think, oh, I know exactly where I want to go, I have like this sense of fear as well that drives me of kind of thinking, well, maybe I need to pivot away from TV because I don't know if that will always be like a viable option for me because just maybe I just won't fit anymore. It's just a personal fear of mine, and maybe it's totally unfounded, but I would think that probably, I would imagine a lot of women in television exist with that fear. In terms of what, man, I really don't know what it is that I want to achieve. I think I've often had like little markers of events I said I wanted to be the face of or host or whatever it might be. So it would have been a World Cup, or I've always thought it'd be really dope to do an Olympics, like those big kind of like marquee events in sports, host a Ballon d'Or, stuff like that. And you get to do all of those things, and as you kind of keep checking them off, I don't know, there's something about my personality as well that keeps looking to what's next, what's the next one I can do. At the same time, when you're exclusive to CBS, you have to live in gratitude for that and make sure that you're not looking outside of the realms of possibility. But I suppose I've also moved into a different phase of life where I'm married, right? It took me a long time to get to the point that I met somebody I wanted to spend my life with, way longer than I thought it would take me. I'm 43 years old. I don't have kids. I'd love to have kids. I guess as a woman, again, that's another fear that you live with of like, oh God, have I left it too late? Because I was so focused on career and everything else. And because I also just hadn't met the right person, and that's the way life times out sometimes, right? And so those are things that I would love to achieve, but they're also, that's the stuff that you can't plan for in life. I really want to be considered the best at the job, man or woman. And I think that's like, to me, that's real success when you're not a woman compared with other women, but you're just kind of compared for your role in that space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's go back to your 10-year plan for a second. So we've done 5 together, which is crazy to me, by the way, when I think about what we've done 5 together. What have your best moments been on this journey? With CBS, I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think working with you guys has given me a new lease of life, you know? And working with you guys has improved me massively. I feel like
that.
I have to raise my game when I'm with you guys. But I also love the freedom that the producers give us, though, as well, because a lot of shows that I work on, they've been a certain way for so long. But because we started this show and they knew what they wanted, I felt like I can do what I need to do, but they also allow me to grow in my personality as well. I feel like we have a certain vibe where we trust each other. And because we work, it's the same team every week.
Yeah.
We know the strengths, weaknesses, we know what's gonna piss someone off or not piss someone off or whatever. So
I know exactly what you mean, though. I think,
do you understand?
Yeah, because I think often you go into a show and if it's been existing for a long time, there's like a mold or there's a space that's open and you're trying to slot into that.
Correct.
And nobody verbally says to you what's required, like you need to be this type of person, but you know that you're just trying to fit into a dynamic that already exists.
Exactly.
Whereas in this, because we were here from the beginning, you kind of get to shape the identity of it. And I think we were blessed with producers who allowed that to happen, right?
Exactly that.
But yeah, I totally understand what you mean. And I think I've learned acceptance. Like I've learned to kind of embrace those awkward moments and how different everybody is. Because everybody brings something totally different to the table and you kind of learn to accept that, okay, Thierry has these quirks, Jamie, like we all have them, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And I think at the beginning I used to kind of live in fear of like Jamie's judgment. I never felt scared of you or of Thierry or of Roberto, but I felt like scared of like, will Jamie think I'm good enough at this?
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't sure if he was convinced. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jamie's got that though, hasn't he? He doesn't mince his words, does he? He's sort of just like straight. There's no like in between. It's just, he'll say what's on his mind. I think when he asked for this show, just to answer your question, I think I want to make this show, not me, we as a group, but my role is to make sure this show is talked about for years. You know, we always mention inside the NBA. And they've set a standard, haven't they? So in America, that's the one. I want everyone to be talking, because it's easy to be hot for now. How many broadcasters come in, do a good show for a couple of years, and then they're not talked about? I want the longevity. So in 10 years, I want to make sure it's like a high-profile show that can sort of last for decades. Everyone was like, oh, I missed that show, or we all do what, or I think, or it's still, you know what I mean? So people look back and say,
because even when Inside the NBA is gone, people
Yes,
will still feel like that about it. You know how Thierry says, and this always I think is mind-blowing to anybody, he says, people talk to me more about the show now than about my playing career. I don't know if that's an exaggeration, but he does say that. Do you feel, like, how much do you hear about the show in England? Because obviously it's for American television. We all know the clips are popular.
The other broadcasters I work for, they're not happy, but we was out on a Christmas do, and everyone was like, oh my God, it's the CBS crew, where's Kate, where's James, where's James, and I was like, no, it's the Sky crew. It's like, oh. And it's mad, so people know me more from CBS than probably anywhere else. And like I said, the power of social media as well. Like I said, I wish we could get the clips as well, which we're now potentially could be happening, you know, the analytical side. But in terms of exposure of the CBS brand, I think it's just took my profile to the next level. You
know the trust thing you mentioned. Do you ever worry, because when you trust people that you're with, especially like in front of camera, obviously you become looser in front of camera than you would do in other situations, right? Have you ever worried about those moments? Like, let's say breast, which was a popular viral moment. You're making the jokes about that. How do you look back on that? Do you worry about it ever, thinking, am I close to the line?
We're being close to the line a lot, you know, but I think your role is so important on that. So, and I don't want to talk about the negatives, but you remember when Jamie joked about the Malik and all that sort of stuff? Why that went so big is because your face, like, and normally you come out with something witty straight away, done. But because it was so awkward for everyone, you see me, I think I know where the line is. I think I know where it is. And when Jamie said that, I was like, the only person that can diffuse that is Kate. But because we was all startled at the time, it was like, oh my God. What about when I swore as well? I was so annoyed with myself.
I thought you said frick's sake.
No, I said frick's sake. I can admit it now, but I thought my career was... And the way CBS was able to spin it and turn it into a positive, go out on the clips, and it do well, that is why CBS are so good at what they do. But they saved me that time. Next time, they might not be able to save me, and that's the only thing I just need to say before every show, don't get too excited. I do, like, if you've got any one-liners, even, what did I say? Even, so Dickie, who's the director, give me a line, didn't he? And he said about breast, back to the breast conversation. He said lopsided. And I said, so he said it in my ear, and normally it takes me 2 seconds or 3 seconds to sort of think, is it worth saying it? Like, is the timing right? Because, you know, in TV, it's all about the timing. And he said it, and I said it straight away, a bit lopsided, and I thought, ooh. I'm thinking, Kate, you need to bail me out here. If you laugh, we're good. If you smile and laugh, or if you've got something witty to say, I'm like, hallelujah. I'm not getting cancelled. We deal with it.
Oh, you know I got you. I love you so much. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Honestly.
That's it for Kickin' It.
Is that it?
The Micah Richards edition.
I know, yes. So many people wanted laughs and jokes, you know what I mean? But, you know, I'm trying to show you a different side, you know?